Hello, everyone. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ryan. I'm the person behind SkateGuard. I've been writing it for 10 years, and over the last few months, I published 3 books, the most recent being Technical Merit, A History of Figure Skating Jumps, and a Bibliography of Figure Skating. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Technical Merit. This is the book right here. And I also want to read you a chapter from the book, just so you can get a sense of the flavor of what you would be reading. So before I start, I just want to explain a little bit about what the book is about. It covers the history of figure skating jumps from the very beginning until today, kind of looking at the milestones over the years. So the axel, the lutz, the backflip, throws, and pair skating, it's all in there. Really interesting read if you enjoy the history of the sport, whether you're a fan of skating from years gone by or skating now. So there's a lot to learn in the book that you can't just Google. So I'd like to read you the chapter on the waltz jump. So the waltz jump takes off from the forward outside edge of the left foot, landing on the back outside edge of the other foot. Over the years, the waltz jump has been known by many names, including the half turn, flying three, and three jump. One of the earliest written references of a waltz jump being performed comes from a French skating book called Le Vrai Patineur, ou Principes sur l'art de patiner avec grâce, penned by Jean Garcin 2 years before Napoleon Bonaparte was sent into exile. Garcin called the jump Le Saut de Zephyr, likely referencing Zephyrus, the Greek god of the gentle west wind. Garcin described Le Saut de Zephyr as a compound step. It is done by an outside forward on the right foot, in the attitude of the big outside, at the end of which one jumps while trying to fall on the edge of the other foot. In the pose of the back outside with arms in the place. This step can be repeated several times on the right before repeating it on the left. It can still be done without jumping, but although it is very pretty too, it no longer seems to be the same, so it is much less brilliant and less perilous. Garcin does not claim to have invented Le Saut de Zephyr, so it may well have been performed for some years prior. The jump was being performed in North America by at least the 1860s. Marvin R. Clark and Frank Swift described flying threes as a showy and particularly dashing figure, performed by starting off with the plain figure three on the right foot, and from that to the left foot, and continuing the movement from one foot to another, going lengthwise of the ice. This movement is frequently done with a jump, but it is less graceful, although more dashing, and really destroys the figure. Thus, it should therefore be done without a jump. In 1881, a group of European disciples of Jackson Haynes published a textbook on the Viennese school of skating called Spuren auf dem Eis. Demeter Diamantidi, Karl von Korper-Marienwerth, and Max Worth attributed a polka mazurka ice dance that included a small jump to Haynes. The authors praised a jump they called the Überspringen des Dreier, which translates loosely to skipping the three. The authors wrote, "An interesting field for the bold jumper is the skipping of the half turns, which has experienced a notable increase through the wrong turns of threes and alternations. If one considers all of these figures, there are 16 different types of jumps. If one adds those which result from jumping the three from one foot to the other, the number of jumps increases to 20. Skipping the three is a figure of surprising effect when performed correctly. The skipping takes place after a few outside edge runs with one skater forward and the other backwards, and that the one who skates the forward outside jumps over the three from the one foot to the other, and thus the forward outside goes to the reverse arc. The person who is skipping must be offered help by the person originally skating backwards and outwards in such a way that he is lifted as high as possible during the jump and supported until his foot is safely on the ice again. Landing on both feet is incorrect. The novel way of doing assisted waltz jumps described was really a precursor to pair skating, not single skating. While most young skaters today learn the waltz jump first, then the Salchow or toe loop, flip, lutz, and axel, it's important to recognize that in the very early stages of international figure skating competitions, very little importance was really played to jumps or the order in which they were learned. Free skating performances consisted mostly of spirals, toe spins, pivots, footwork, and figures, both compulsory and special figures of the skater's own design. The odd jump was peppered among these as a highlight by most, but not all, skaters. In 1908, Edgar and Madge Sires suggested the following jumps to those crafting a free skating program. A plane jump, which replaces the skater on a continuation of the same edge on the same foot, or a counter or rocker jump from forward outside to backward outside, or forward inside to backward inside. A high jump is more effective than a long one. The skater must be careful to maintain a good position, the legs not being tucked up. The return to the ice as light and quiet as possible. They did not specifically mention a waltz jump in their book, although they incidentally mention a more difficult loop jump. Incidentally, most early skating literature doesn't even bring up a waltz jump. The two kinds of jumps that were most frequently mentioned were E.T. Goodrich's signature spread eagle jump, executed while the skater is under considerable headway in the spread eagle movement, jumping clear from the ice, making a complete revolution in the air, and a lights in the same position of the start, and high and long jumps. Tibor von Foldvari of Hungary and Edward Engelmann Jr. of Austria were two of the first skaters to do the spread eagle jump, known as the Månsprung, or moon jump, in Europe, in early international competitions during the Victorian era. Early skating clubs required skaters to jump over obstacles, such as stacked hats, to gain admission. It has been speculated that this was a way of discouraging weaker skaters, but such feats may initially have been more practical than showy. Demeter Diamantidi, Carl von Korper-Marienwerth, and Max Wirth noted that the high and long jumping on ice was already quite common by the 1880s. Skaters practiced these jumps so that in the event of a crack in the ice occurring, they were prepared to jump to safety. By 1881, Viennese skaters had made it to a 10-foot-long jump. High and long jumps became the backbone of a whole other genre of skating called barrel jumping, which in one form or another became an absolute staple in the professional ice show world for decades. The humble waltz jump, or Le Saut de Saphir, or Überspringen des Spreyer, if you will, became the stepping stone to all of the other jumps that you will read about in the book. So if you found that interesting, you can give the book a read. It comes in a Kindle ebook edition, paperback, hardcover. You can get them all on Amazon. It's a really interesting book, and I think that you're going to be quite surprised by the development of all of the jumps over the years. A lot of the things that you might think you know to be fact might be a little bit more complicated than you might think. So give it a read. Check out Technical Merit: A History of Figure Skating Jumps, and tell me what you think. Go on Amazon, go on Goodreads, and leave a review, an honest review of whether you like it or not. I'd love to hear about it.